Hey everyone, hi, welcome back to my channel. You are catching me on kind of a weird day. It's been a long day. It hasn't necessarily been my favorite week or my favorite start of the week, but you know what, that's okay, because in order to clear my mind of all the gunk that has been going on, I'm going to talk about books. And if you're new to my channel, then hi, welcome. I'm Shelly, and I really love books and reading. And I really love following prizes. It's one of the things I really quite enjoy. How many times can I say really in the span of 20 seconds? I don't know. But anyways, don't count, y'all. Just don't count. So anyways, I am here to give you an update on where I'm at with both the International Booker and the Women's Prize. So if you like books and reading, if you like following book prizes, then I would encourage you to subscribe, stick around. Otherwise, let's just get into the meat of this video. The International Booker released its Longlist about a week ago, and I was really excited to see the list, to see if I recognized anything on the list, if I'd read it or heard about it or even heard reviews of it. And the long list was announced, and I had not heard of a single title on the list. And I think for some people, they see that as an exciting invitation to dive into new literature for which they've never heard of. And for me, I had a bit of the opposite reaction. I tend to be frugal. I like to be careful with my budget and how I spend my money. And I don't have a lot of disposable income for brand new books. So the long list was announced, and immediately I checked with my library to see if they had any of the books. Now, by the way, I have some money to spend on books. It's not that I don't have any. I just, the books that are on the international International Booker long list, they're new releases, newly translated books. Some of them are a bit obscure. So anyways, so you're going to be typically paying full price for these novels. And so anyway, so what happened was, by the way, I did buy a book from each list. Maybe I should start with that. I will bring it back around. I did buy a book from each of the long lists. So just know that going in. And so I will show you what I chose, but I'm holding off for right now so I can finish telling you my story about what happened, the fallout in my life when the International Booker long list was announced. So I am like, okay, I've never heard of these titles. That was my initial reaction. Then I went around and I went on my library's website. I went on and checked for everything. I was like, do you have any of the titles? And much to my disappointment, my library had nothing. There was not a single title from the long list that was also, corresponding with what I could get from my library. And the way that my library does interlibrary loans, which is borrowing a book from another library, like outside of the county or the library system, is that they don't like to loan brand new releases. And so, the releases that are, on the International Booker are brand new. And so I didn't think that the interlibrary loan system would work. And I didn't know where to start and, tra-la, like all of this sort of complicated feelings about putting in a request. Also, interlibrary loans are really tricky. A side tangent. Interlibrary loans are actually quite tricky because the library system in your county or your geographical area is borrowing from another library system's, area. And it's a contract between the two libraries. So the patron really is honoring their standing as a patron for their library system so that our library system can be in good standing with neighboring library systems. And so when a book is borrowed from another library, typically you only have it for, I think in our county, it's 2 weeks. It's non-renewable, and you only have that amount of time to read your book, get from it what you need, and then it goes back to its home library. So that's how it works. And I'm talking like, we have a library system that are interconnected, and I can get them and renew them just fine. I'm talking like outside of this area. Anyways, I hope that made sense. That was an interlibrary loan tangent. So anyways, my library doesn't have any of the books. Interlibrary loan is a little bit off the table, at least in my mind, and so I'm going to have to buy a book if I want to participate in reading something from the Longlist, the International Booker Longlist. And so I was initially going to just say, no, I'm not going to do any of it. I'm not going to participate. I was sort of feeling a bit like a child throwing a tantrum, like, I'm just not going to do it. But instead of throwing myself a pity party, I ended up getting sucked into a couple of review videos, one of which was from Jen Campbell, and I was just sort of enthralled with her initial reading of the International Booker Longlist. She didn't review all of them, but she reviewed several titles that I was interested in, and one book stuck out. Part of it is because of the cover, am I going to say it's a cover by? Not quite, no. It's not quite a cover by, but the subject matter sounded interesting, and I just decided to take the plunge. It's a short read, and if you have any guesses, let me put your guesses down in the comments down below of which one I chose. But actually the one I for sure knew I didn't want to read was Whale, because it was compared to the writing of Haruki Murakami, and I was like, I don't want to read about body parts all day. No thank you. So anyways, I knew I wasn't going to choose Whale, but the one that I did choose was Boulder by Eva Baltazar, and it's translated by Julia Sanchez. I chose this partly, look at this cover. Is that cover not incredible? I chose it because it is a queer love story between 2 women, one of whom wants to become a mother, and the other of whom is feeling the change in her partner and what that means. I thought that was a fascinating question. I thought it would be something really juicy and meaty, and I liked the idea of picking something sort of slim and beautiful to read, for one, and then for 2, I don't know, I like dynamics between couples and the big decisions that they have in their lives and what happens and the fallout, and I don't know. I like the idea of it. So this is what I'm going to be reading for the International Booker Longlist, and then we're going to get into the Women's Prize. If you have picked up any books inspired by the International Booker, the Longlist from the International Booker, will you let me know? I'm really curious. Okay, so the next book that I bought, the next thing is the Women's Prize. Now, the Women's Prize, I initially was very excited about the Longlist. And I have, yet again, my library had about half of the Longlist available, except for one, which is the Jennifer Croft book, The Homesick, which is it was released as a memoir here in the US, and then it was reworked and republished as a work of autofiction in the UK, and the one in the UK, the autofiction book, is the one that made the Longlist. So I don't even think that the Jennifer Croft book that is here in the US is the same book, essentially, that's on the Longlist over in the UK. Very strange, okay? Very strange. But initially I was really excited about the book I'm a Fan, but I found out that Scott loved it. And from Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, if you know my history with Scott, he and I have polar opposite opinions when it comes to contemporary new releases. And Sheena Patel, her book I'm a Fan is exactly that. And I was just like, oh, I can't. No. Plus, I'd have to buy it, and no. I have tried Memphis by Tara M. Stringfellow 3 times. I have not gotten past the first page. I don't know why. There's like a mental block for me in that book. Like, I am not giving it a chance, but I don't know why. But every time I start it, whether it be the physical book, whether it be the audiobook, I'm like, no, I don't want to read it. I don't know what's wrong with me. What other books have I sought out? I thought about getting The Dog of the North by someone. I don't remember. I don't remember the author. I'll hopefully have a book pop up, the book title pop up. I've heard it's quirky and weird, but again, quirky, funny, silly, weird, you know, like sort of off the rails, which sounds like a lot of fun, but I'm just not in that mood. I might eventually pick that up, but I'm not feeling like so hot on it. And everything else I've been hearing and reading mixed reviews about. Trespasses by Louise Kennedy, mixed reviews. And the list goes on. Oh, I was thinking about reading Bandit Queens, and then I found out that it was like much, much darker than it initially seems. And I'm like, I just don't want to read a much, much darker book that is just super gritty. I don't know. Says the woman who is reading a murder mystery right now. What can I say? Oh, and also Stone Blind by Natalie Hayes. That I checked out from the library as well, and I came to sit down to read it, to start it, and the question at the front of my mind is, do I really want to read this over 2 books I already own, one of which that I think won the Women's Prize, and it's Madeline Miller's books, The Song of Achilles and Circe. So, and the answer was no. The answer was I don't want to read Stone Blind by Natalie Hayes because I own Madeline Miller's books. And if I'm not reading those, I'm not going to read any Greek retellings. So that tangent aside, I'm feeling conflicted about the one. Maybe you all have more insight about what I'm going through than I know myself. I think ultimately I feel conflicted because I'm feeling uninspired by the Women's Prize, and that is making me not want to pick up anything sans one book because I did purchase it and I'm excited to have it. Now, you might be like, is the book Demon Copperhead? No, it is not. Barbara Kingsolver's Demon Copperhead seems to have polarizing reviews, and this is what I mean. I know you all are like, oh, we know the definition of polarizing, Shelley. I know you know. But here's the feedback I've been getting. People either really, really love it, or they've recently read David Copperfield by Charles Dickens, and Demon Copperhead is a play on that. They've recently read David Copperfield by Charles Dickens and said that Demon Copperhead is actually a blow-by-blow storytelling, like it's matching it scene for scene. It's matching it scene for scene and plot point by plot point. And so if you actually know David Copperfield quite well, then Demon Copperhead is going to be feeling very similar. It's going to have that like mirror-like quality to it. And I have not read David Copperfield. So actually, I would be the ideal reader for Demon Copperhead. So those who haven't read the Dickens novel recently or at all are finding Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver very refreshing, very exciting, and they're really enjoying it. That's the feedback I've been hearing and reading. But the thing is that I didn't want to read Demon Copperhead when it came out. I was just like, oh, Barbara Kingsolver has another book. Great. Like, she has a huge backlist that I haven't read. And I landed on like, no thank you. So even as there are people who are ranting and raving, even Scott DNF'd it, which should mean that I would love it, right? Like, it should mean this. And I don't want anything to do with it. So, yeah, I thought maybe my feelings would change, but I'm just like, no. Now, if you're like, Shelley, get to the book you're actually bought. So I bought and I landed on The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. Maggie O'Farrell is an author that I've been wanting to explore. She wrote Hamnet, which did really well, I believe, in the Women's Prize. It did well all through and through. That book had such a big year. And I've heard good things about this novel. I actually don't know the history for which she is playing with this historical fiction. I don't know the history of it all, but I feel excited about it. Like, I'm excited. I want to read it. I already have a buddy read set up for this novel. I'm excited about it. It's a buddy read with a community member here. She's a commenter and just leaves me the sweetest notes. And we set up that we wanted to read this together, so I'm so excited. And I think, I don't know, I feel like there's one or two other books that are sort of floating around in my mind. And who knows, maybe when the shortlist comes out, I'll be struck with inspiration. I'm like, I'll read the whole thing. But as of right now, with the way that I'm feeling like The Marriage Portrait will do me good. And then I'm done with the Women's Prize this year. I don't know what is wrong with me. Oh yeah, and I've also decided Pod by Layleen Paul. I mean, I said that right away that I didn't want to read it. That's not changed. So, you know, a lot of changing feelings over here that is guiding my choices for my reading. It's truly an insight into like a mood reader's thinking, you know? So yeah, what have you read from the Women's Prize? I would love to know. Or are you planning on picking anything up? I'm just so curious. But yeah, that's it. This is all the tea about me and the current prizes that are going on right now. The ones that have taken up at least a little dusty corner in my brain. And yeah, I thought I would share with you all. So thank you for letting me share. I really appreciate it. Thank you for spending this time with me. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye.